I have a cousin by marriage, husband's cousin, that's 22 and dying of cancer. It was always her dream to marry and be a mom, and now that's not going to happen. It's hard on everyone. She has a much older fiance, 30, and they had a symbolic wedding so she could have the experience. They started looking for ways to get access to a baby that she could take care of and experience some level of childcare that way, but with 2021 and ethics in general, there's not a lot of ways to do that safely. My husband and I have the first and so far only children of our generation, who are 10 months and 23 months old. I had hopes that it wouldn't happen, but her parents asked me if she or they could borrow my younger baby for a few weeks. The cousin and her fiance would basically be play acting having a baby. Her parents would also join in on pretending. There would be photo shoots and everything. This makes me really uncomfortable. It's really creepy. I cannot understate how creepy I think this is. I know that her not getting to live her dreams is sad, but I don't think this is the answer. I'm worried it will be traumatic for my baby. She's almost a year old and will, well, notice that her entire family will just vanish overnight for what will seem like forever. She's also still nursing, and they don't really seem to care about this factor. I'm really worried about problems down the road. This is setting a dangerous precedent of my child living under other guardianship. Her parents will have time to get attached, and they could try to use that for familial pressure if not legally. Her fiancé is also a wild card in that regard. I said no, and my husband's entire family is hounding us about this because her time is running out and it's time sensitive. They say we're being selfish. They say that we could use this as a free vacation and bond with our older child because I popped them out so close together. They want to compromise now by letting me come by a few times a day to bring milk. We still don't want to do this. Am I the idiot? Edit, yesterday afternoon, we got an email from the cousin's parents offering actual dollar amounts for us to agree. We got enough from that to file a police report and at least get the threat in writing. We also had a call with my husband's parents and his siblings to basically clear the air. Apparently what they were telling people they asked for and what they were actually asking for were very different. Everyone on that call now had them blocked on social media except for mother-in-law because of the cousin. Not the idiot. As a psychology major, the fact that anybody would even fathom separating a child from their mother in such an important stage of their development horrifies me. As somebody who was adopted at around that age, I can say that this is a horrible idea. When my mother, adoptive mother, first got me, I was extremely tense. I would clench my fist so hard that it would create crescents in my palms. It took my mom months to convince me her touch was safe. Rubbing lotion into my skin, singing, soft rocking, etc. Even at such a young age, children notice when something is abnormal. And even though I don't remember my birth mother at all, I still suffer from abandonment issues. I still hold this resentment towards her, even at the age of 20. It goes without saying that what's happening to your cousin-in-law is very tragic, but it is wrong for anybody to expect you to temporarily give up your baby, who you are still at a crucial part of the whole mother and baby bonding for her. The grief of losing his as good as wife will be traumatic enough on her finance without adding the potential pain of having to hand the baby back once she's gone. Absolutely no way should this even be on the table, nor should anybody else try to place the burden on you and your husband. You are under no obligation to give her your child. Shame on those trying to guilt you otherwise. Your child is not some inanimate doll for them to play act with, and I agree that it would be incredibly confusing and traumatic for your child. Yes, it's tragic that your cousin-in-law will pass without being able to experience what it's like to have a child, but plenty of people die without being able to experience everything they've ever dreamed of doing. That's life. It's shame, but it's not your responsibility or your fault for not enabling her to live out that dream by using your child, and it's incredibly selfish of them to expect it. It also does not bode well for how good they'd be as parents when they have no qualms about the psychological trauma they'd be inflicting on your child by doing this. My fiancé and I are moving in together, which means we will have to merge families. I have 3 children all aged 8 who are triplets. She has 2 boys who are 4 and 5. Anyway, the house we are moving into has 4 bedrooms, 1 is large, 2 are medium-sized, and the other is basically a large closet. We are going to live in the largest room, and I suggested that our 2 boys shared the first medium-sized room and 2 of my girls share the other medium-sized room, and the other gets the small room to herself. She wants the triplets to all share the first medium-sized room and her boys to each have a room to themselves. I think this is unfair, however. She says that they are triplets, so they need to be kept together and be there for each other, so it wouldn't be any surprise if they have to share a room together. I think that's BS, and she just doesn't want her children to share a room. The other option is that we share a medium-sized room and the triplets get the largest room so they have more space, but she doesn't want this as she likes to do yoga on the floor, which she could only do properly in the largest room. We are still in disagreement about this, so I want to hear other opinions and options. Am I the idiot for my suggestions? We cannot afford a bigger house as she is quitting her job to look after the children. All children live at the house pretty much evenly, we both have joint custody. Not the idiot. It is alarming how much she seems to see your 3 children as a set. Does she actually respect them as 3 individual children? Is she going to insist they have to do all the same activities? Will she want to give them a single birthday present to share? I fully admit I'm making a leap here, but I fear she sees your 5 children as her older son, her younger son, and then the girls who don't need as much and aren't as important. Your daughters will notice if you marry a woman who treats them as second-class citizens. It will affect how they feel about you and how much time they spend with you in the future. Not the idiot. For a few reasons. 1. Her wanting the large room to do yoga is selfish, there's a whole house to do yoga in. 2. Not wanting her 2 boys to share a room but expecting 3 girls to. Sounds like favoritism. 3. You can't just consider now, you have to consider the future. I don't know what your future plans are, but it won't be long until your girls are teenagers. Expecting 3 teenage girls to share a medium-sized bedroom when everyone else has one each is crazy. How large is the large room? Being clever with curtains, you could at least give each of the girls their own section for a bit of privacy. It sounds like she's using the fact that your girls are triplets as an excuse to make them share a room so her kids get their own. And on top of it, she wants to cram them all into a smaller room so she can do yoga in the bedroom. Does the new house not have a living room? She is prioritize her and her kids' comfort with no consideration for your kids. I'd say have the 3 share the large room, the 2 boys share a medium room, you and her get a medium room, and she can use the smaller room for her yoga if it really needs its own room. I would say our family isn't rich, but we are well off. We just aren't materialistic people. We never shop for the sake of shopping. For example, I only have 2 or 3 pairs of jeans, but if one is worn out or too old, I would buy another that might be considered overpriced in the $100–250 range, but will last for a longer time. None of us go shopping as a hobby or for fun. My older brother lives in LA and was dating this girl for a long time. She has a BA, makes about $40K a year. We thought she was very nice and very sweet, but some of the things she said felt odd. Once she came home with our brother, saw our parents' cars out front, Audi and Jaguar. My brother told her that our parents only ever had used cars that were a little run down and soaked in crackers or spilled juice or soccer sweat from practice, etc. So when our youngest sibling finished high school, our parents decided to treat themselves for once in their entire lives and bought new cars after working 80-hour weeks and grinding for most their lives. She laughed and said, "It better not take you more than a few years to buy me one of those." My brother drives a relatively new Jeep. My brother decided to propose and had me help pick it out. We decided to get her one with a middle stone that was 2.5 carats, with a baguette on each side that was about 1 carat each. Brother proposed, she said yes, but she was upset, saying she expected a bigger ring since he makes enough to buy her 5K ring and that she can't handle him acting cheap all the time. He was really upset about this because this ring cost about 40K and was amazing clarity, color, etc., and he researched it excessively and made sure that it was the exact design ring she wanted. He called me and got mad at me because I was the one who said he should get the main stone to be 2.5K because bigger than that looks a little tacky and showy. I told him that this is probably God waving a red flag and giving him a chance to get out. I told him that someone who can't appreciate that 40K, since that's how much she makes a year, is a lot to spend on a ring. She didn't care about how hard he tried to please her, just about the money. He thought it over and agreed and broke it off. She called me after he asked her to move out and told me I was a meddling idiot and my brother will never get married when his family is so nosy. I asked my friends about it and they agreed. They said that you only get one engagement ring and she should get the ring she wants. So, am I the idiot? Not the idiot. I think sometimes people confuse meddling with actually caring about people and telling them what needs to be said. Sometimes people show you their true color, but people are just blind to it because their emotions get in the way. 40K is a year's salary, but more than that, your brother tried hard to make it special. He wasn't just trying to spend a lot of cash, he was trying to get her something special that he put his heart into. If she couldn't focus on that, yeah, I think your brother is way better off. You're a good sister, and you said what needed to be said. Not the idiot. You only get one engagement ring is the most ridiculous thing I ever heard. People upgrade their rings later. People get wedding bands that are super expensive. People get anniversary rings. I can't imagine someone being upset over a ring that cost $40,000. You didn't cause your brother to end his engagement. She did because her behavior showed him this wasn't the person he should commit to being with for the rest of his life. Not the idiot, but you gotta stop with the "I don't consider us rich" thing. You're rich. You may not buy expensive handbags, but I'm pretty sure you never had to decide whether a serious injury was enough to go to the doctor. You never had to choose between paying the electric bill or buying food. Your Christmas was never ruined because the car broke down. There is a lot of things you don't have to worry about because you have money, and that means a lot more than expensive things. About 5-6 months ago, I, 18, started having problems with my ears turning red and getting a little warm. I scheduled an appointment with a dermatologist because initially I thought it was allergies. Turns out it had to do with the cartilage in my ears rather than the skin. I was referred to a rheumatologist, for whom I had to go make another appointment for, but I couldn't get in to see her for 3 weeks. While I waited, my ears got worse. To the point where I can no longer leave my room anymore. I have to sit in my room all day, in the dark, in front of a fan, with ice packs strapped to my head because it's that bad. The burning is excruciating and constant. I can numb it with ice packs, but only until they melt. Also during this time, my sister, 23, began to experience lots of issues with cramps and pain in her abdomen. It turns out she has a cyst which is causing her pain whenever she has her period. I by no means discount that fact that she is in a lot of pain. She is very vocal about how much it hurts. Here's where I'm frustrated, however. Once I finally get to the rheumatologist, she basically sits down and tells me that I have relapsing polychondritis, which is a rare genetic autoimmune disorder where the immune system attacks the cartilage in the body. Since it's so rare, they don't know what triggers it, and treatment is mostly trial and error. They worry about long-term because cartilage is everywhere in your body, including the heart and windpipe. If my body started to attack either of those, it could spell disaster. Basically, it could flare up in the wrong place at the wrong time, and I could die at a young age because of it. The possibility of a flare-up in my heart is a major concern, and I just learned all of this on Wednesday. Meanwhile, my sister is having issues with her cyst again and is wailing and crying. For sure she is hurting, but also I just learned that I could die at any point. My parents have elected to skirt around that fact and haven't offered me a bit of comfort about it, instead focusing on my sister. I am forced, through pure necessity, to sit alone in my room all day long, every day, and have been for the last few weeks. I am extremely lonely. My parents make minimal effort to check on me. At most it's a brief 4-sentence conversation, and then they go right back upstairs to take care of my sister. Nobody comes to talk to me, nobody comes to see me, nobody sits with me. Tonight I made it upstairs to get some food, and I saw my mom in my sister's room, lying on the bed with her, rubbing her back and comforting her. And seeing how much my mom was caring for my sister while also forgetting me made me feel jealous. I don't doubt for a second that my sister is in a lot of pain. I'm just jealous that I've been forgotten about while I've learned that I could die young and that I have an autoimmune disorder that I'll carry with me for the rest of my life. Am I the idiot for feeling jealous? You're not the idiot for feeling that way. I have a feeling, and obviously I'm not there, so I don't know for sure, that perhaps you aren't expressing your pain, discomfort, or fear as much as your sister is expressing her pain, so naturally your mom is tending to her as it seems more pressing at the moment. Maybe you can talk to your mom and said, "Hey, I'm really scared about this," or "I'm feeling a lot of pain right now and I'd love some comfort." I mean, maybe not in those words exactly, but you know what I mean. I hope that helps. Your disease is rare. Very rare. When dealing with this type of thing, many people resort to ignoring it exists. Ovarian cysts are not unheard of, and your mother possibly had them and knows what it feels like, making sympathy much easier. This isn't trying to excuse it, it's trying to explain it. Have you asked if they can sit with you in the room? Have you tried to converse with them while they were there? This is not blaming you in the slightest, but since your disease is so rare, you may need to be very explicit on what help and support you need. No idiots here. Both of you are sick, it's just that I think your parents don't know how they could help you. Let me ask you this, are you as vocal about what you feel as your sister? Cause if not, then maybe that's that. Like you said, it's an autoimmune disease and not much is known, so your parents are just as, if not more, clueless as the doctor as to how they can help. Having two sick kids is frustrating on the part of the parents, and I'm sure they are trying as much as they can to help, it's just that your sister is more vocal about what she's feeling. So, my now sister-in-law has been a pain in my now wife's butt for a very long time. She is always trying to one-up her in every way possible. I have also heard a lot of stories where she has done some pretty messed up stuff to my wife, including skinny dipping with her ex while my wife and him were still together, lying and saying that I liked her first in high school, which is completely untrue, just to break us up, and turning my wife's family against her just because she brought these things up at a cookout once. These are just a few of many. Now on Saturday was our wedding, and my sister-in-law wanted to wear the same color dress as the bridesmaids, and after a long argument my wife just said she doesn't care anymore. I was in the groom's room, and I started hearing things like why would she do that, and she's in white, so I asked my mother what is going on, and she explains to me that my sister-in-law is wearing white to her own sister's wedding. My mother then tells me that my wife is crying her eyes out, so I tell my mother to just kick her out, which she does. My wife's entire family was furious at my mother and me the entire wedding, but it goes pretty smoothly. I would like to mention that we knew something was up, and we later found out through Facebook that my sister-in-law's boyfriend proposed to her at a restaurant later that night. If you ask me, they were obviously planning on doing that at the wedding, just to spite my wife like usual. So, am I the idiot for kicking her out to save my wife from crying while walking down the aisle? You are the idiot for not tripping while holding a glass of red wine next to your sister-in-law. And I'm glad you stand up for your wife and had a great day. I suspect your sister-in-law twisted the story she told the family because you said they are usually great people and take your wife's side. And congrats for the baby. Not the idiot a million times. Thank goodness your wife has you and your family to have her back, because she comes from a garbage family of horrible people. Sounds like the sister is the spoiled brat, golden child of the family, considering how your wife's family always takes her side. Your wife's probably been bullied and abused by her since childhood. Real family is the one you choose to make, not necessarily always the one you're born into. Your wife has a real family now. Kudos to both you and your mum for stopping sister-in-law making your wife's day miserable. I'd consider how your in-laws are behaving now, and remember this for other big events like births of children, if you have any, anniversaries, Christmases, etc., and plan accordingly. Preferably far away from your in-laws and with as minimal forewarning as possible. It's shame for your wife, but it seems like she lucked out with inheriting a fantastic in-law family herself.